Welcome back, everyone. So today we're back with Siege of Boralus 12 Mythic as a Master of Harmony. Here I changed the route. We avoided one of the pools and netted a couple of mobs just because that pool tends to wipe a lot of groups. So I decided to change my path. Here I upgraded last two volts. I got a new weapon and decided to change up my ring. Talents, nothing different from the last video I did. Everything seemed to work out pretty good, so I kept it. Here you can see that I had Foul Beast Chalicera, Foul Behemoth Chalicera, and it's Mythic Track. It's 629. I thought about taking it, but at the same time I wanted to play it safe, so I went back to the Molten Furnace trinket, just because the absorbs really work well, and I wanted to make sure I was tanky as possible. I got hit there with the frontal. I was trying to aggro. I wasn't really paying too much attention to the frontal. Sometimes it bugs out because of that floor animation. I don't know if that's a elemental shaman thing, but sometimes the frontal would bug out on me, or I don't know if my settings are wrong, but I couldn't see it too well. Here I waited for this raider, sorry, to move up a little bit before tagging him, just because I didn't want to overlap the frontal with the pull-in. That also tends to wipe people. So what you can do is, again, if they're not stacked in the circle, you wait for the frontal and then you pull the raider, just so that it throws the ability cooldowns off of sync.
Frontal.
Because a frontal into a pull-in will definitely wipe your group. I've seen it happen before, so I decided not to risk it again.
Frontal.
I played a little bit sloppy here in the beginning. I did get hit by a couple of those frontals. But the healer was pretty good. I think the healer only had a 2 chest plus 10 siege, so this was probably their first time doing a 12. They did pretty good. I wasn't expecting it to be too hard. And again, this pool here, I pinged them not to do it because it wipes groups. I've seen it. I decided not to even bother with it.
Defensive.
I just added count elsewhere where I can get it. Here I'm moving the casters and the bombers so that they don't pull in with the next wave or the next couple of mobs that are coming. And I'm keeping my eye out on the corner of my screen, the top left, wherever I can get. I have my exploding keg ready just to pull the next couple of mobs, so I'm letting them know that they're coming and that I'm going to pull them. And here I pull them, trying to get some aggro on the mobs. The caster and the bomber are dead from the last pull, so I don't have to worry about it too much. There, the shredder gives on their mage and kills him. I lost threat, dancing around a little bit too much, I guess, in between that. So small mistakes that I made, but I learned from it. Keep it in mind. Here, the bomber is halfway dead. He does the pull in. I use that opportunity to pull in these two gutters, just so that I can drag them into the AoE damage and get them killed. The gutter there running away. Sadly, we pulled this other enforcer. The healer wasn't paying too much attention there. He pulled them. So this is what I meant by trying to throw it off the sync and why it could be deadly if it isn't. The frontal there almost caught the healer there after the pull-in.
Frontal.
So my keybind from those pings are attached also to one of my mouse buttons. Sometimes I'll randomly trigger it just because it's a shift click, but also I shift press mouse buttons, like shift 1 is my interrupt. So sometimes I'll activate it by accident. They're pinging myself for no reason. I try to pull everybody towards this bomber here, just because I'm trying to make sure that we get the cleave damage. And I'm hoping somebody interrupts them. The paladin, great the entire time. He interrupted a lot. Um, he was definitely the MVP for this.
Pulling in. Whirlwind.
As soon as this bomber dies, I thought about pulling the next pack together, but I realized that it probably would have been too risky. Trying to play it safe, not trying to rush anything. I'm not trying to, time anything crazily because it's my first
Defensive.
plus 12 in the siege. I've done others, I failed, so I've learned from those mistakes, and I wasn't really trying to make them
Pulling
here.
in.
Here I laid a ring of peace there
Whirlwind.
because I thought that the shredder might try to jump on someone, but I laid it down too fast. I thought that I could bounce them into me so that we can
Defensive.
get them into the AoE damage faster.
Defensive.
Something that I'm kind of working on. So it's small things that I pay attention to. It's not necessary, but stuff that I kind of
Pulling in.
work on just to keep myself a little bit entertained with
Whirlwind.
some of these.
It's too far away.
Here I thought about executing the shredder, but I said no because I needed to save it for the power shot here.
To get closer.
Try to get him down as soon as I can. And as you can see, as soon as he's in execute range, I'm spamming it. Something that I did really well here was get the cleavers into the boss as soon as I saw the boss was hit with the bomb, because it helps AoE them down. I did have a run before where I had 3 cleavers on me at the same time, and it became a little bit too hectic. So whenever I got an opportunity to bring them all together, I waited for the cleave. As you can see, there's a timer on the upper left of their bars. So heavy slam is on 7, 6. So I know that I have to move them right there. I'm moving away so that they don't get hit, and the cleave is away from my group. Here the power shot is there. I taunt this cleaver. I was looking for him. I thought that he was going to spawn next to the power shot, but they didn't. But I'm dragging them there because one cleaver is about to die. So I'm getting in boss damage and the cleaver is getting killed.
Watch your step.
All of these little things help, so it's kind of important to also learn how to kite these ads. It's not that difficult. You just have to make sure that you're never running straight at your group.
It's too far away.
Watch your step.
I tiger listed the shaman just to be safe. There I did an exploding keg, it tagged both of them, and then straight into the boss after I knew I had enough aggro. I was trying to avoid getting anybody killed.
Watch your step.
It's too far away.
So here with these 2 cleavers, there's heavy slammers on a big cooldown. So I'm moving them around towards the boss. One is about to go off here, so I stopped for a little bit, but then I kept going. The other one slams nowhere near our group.
Pulling in.
The boss is almost dead. I'm trying to execute. I wanted to wait to execute, but we couldn't get the damage. If you notice that bomb on the top right, it was about to go off and it would have killed us.
Heroes, my scouts
So I
report
pinged it
heavy
just
fighting
for
near
like
the
a heads
palace.
up. That would have been a bit tragic.
Please, ensure Lady Proud more safety.
Defensive.
But the DPS has been really good up until this point.
I need to get closer.
Defensive.
I try to use my Molten Furnace trinket a little bit more on demand, on cooldown, just because I noticed that in the last couple of runs
Defensive.
it wasn't on as much. And I try to save my taunt for when I really needed the
Defensive.
50% damage absorb. Not just randomly taunting anything. Here I'm holding onto it because I know that I'm going to use it for the next pull. As soon as these shredders
Defensive.
die, I'm taking the commander into the next pack.
Defensive.
To get closer. I don't have a target. I'm out of range.
There I had to leg sweep them to stun them to make sure that my team could catch up without me taking a lot of damage.
Whirlwind.
I need to get closer.
This, I don't know if that's again, doesn't know if that's the elemental shaman there, the AoE fire thing. It's really trippy sometimes. It gets me a bit confused, but yeah, it's kind of cool. The Elite Shaman definitely carry.
Pulling out.
Shaman, top tier DPS for sure, like
Whirlwind.
no doubt. Your Tiger's lesson to
Out of range.
double roll. I pull these. Okay, and this is where we're gonna add count
Target you.
again. I was a little bit dumb here. I wasn't paying attention and I get hit by an artillery shot right there, trying to move around. Had to use my fortifying brew there. But we add this count to make up for that extra crazy pull back there. I didn't want to do it. I wiped on it too many times. It's a lot of damage in a short amount of time, and if the team isn't interrupting, it's just pointless. We probably could have survived it with this group, but I didn't want to chance it at all. And this spotter here is running crazy pathing, so I'm trying to roll away to the next pack, but then I noticed that he's running over the bridge. I have to go chase him. I didn't even have my execute, but I probably should have just let him die. Tiger's listening to catch up here.
You're not welcome here.
Another leg sweep here to CC them while the team catches up and to avoid taking a lot of damage. There, as you can see, the paladin 100% on his interrupts, always getting those bolstering shouts. Those watertight shows, a little bit tricky, but you know, we got them interrupted somehow. I'm also pretty confident that this mage, it was his first time in the 12. I might have confused the shaman healer with the mage who did the 2 chests plus 10. Because the mage takes a bit of damage. I don't know if he was under gear or not, but those charges on him, and then later on you'll see he drops pretty low. Here I'm trying to pick up everyone and everything just to speed this up.
And I'll haul its cargo out of the city.
I used the taunt there to have the
Watch
absorbs.
your step.
Too much going on. I lost a little bit of track there, making sure that the curse blades didn't get to the clothies.
Watch your
I
step.
did something really risky here. I shouldn't have done it. So I get a charge on myself here. The commander charges me right here, and then I roll away into the spotter. I could have killed the healer and one of the
Watch your
DPS there,
step.
probably. So much for playing it safe there. They
Watch your
might.
step.
I feel like they might need to fix the pathing on the spotters just so that they don't either run too fast or run away so far, because some of these tend to just disappear. They rush out of there. This one was running into the boss, but I kept an eye on my healer's mana. I knew they were ready for the pull, so I just went with it. Just an exploding keg there to mitigate some damage. All this is pretty straightforward. We played this pretty safely. We have really good DPS as well, so as you can see, she's dropping fast.
Frontal.
So what I try to do here is I try to bait those that cannon barrage away from her so that we would have space to go in there afterwards. Here was a little bit tricky because I didn't have my keg smash for the AoE threat. For a
Watch your
blackout
step.
kick and Master Harmony, hitting all those targets with the AoE frontal definitely helps with threat. Here the chamois dropped the Earth Elemental. That gets a little bit scary sometimes because if I'm not paying attention, I'm
Watch
thinking
your
one of the DPS is taking the aggro. Here we kill him, I take the cannon, I blast it, good to go.
Frontal.
The mage was really pumping here. I'm now looking back at it. I'm surprised. I think the mage was just like free casting the entire time, not even worrying about anything. But 1.2, 1.1 million DPS the entire time, crazy. Again here baiting it out, just so that we have more space to move. Double keg smash for the aggro. Always aiming the cannoneer away from the group, just so that
Watch your step.
wipe anyone, don't kill anyone.
I need to get closer.
Watch your step.
I tried to drag the cannoneer to the edge. Luckily, it was basically dead. Here I have close to 70% vitality. Keeping an eye on it just so that I can use it at the right time for a little bit of burst damage. That's probably at 7 million damage. Dare I use it just to get the damage pumped out into her. I should have used Weapons of Order there too. That also stacks up for 20% additional damage. So it's 20% additional damage on my dot and also the damage I deal. Here we were taking a lot of AoE damage and our paladin died. And this is why this paladin was the MVP. Bopping me right there. I always ask for groups to do this whenever we have a paladin and they never do it. But this paladin just, they knew.
Ashvane's forces are attempting to break through our
AoE
southern
incoming.
wall. Stop them, and we
There
may
I
have a
pulled the
chance
other
of driving
buccaneer
them
back
from
there with my
Boralus.
chi wave,
I'll rally the militia and
just to
secure the
pile
castle.
them all up nice and
Good
Counter
tight.
incoming.
I taunted for the shield. I was running away, but I had a shaman there for the fear totem. It's just habit at this point. I didn't need to do it, but still. I will say though that I did wipe a 12 here last week because I forgot about the. So something important in these mythics is overlapping AoE damage, right? So
Fear incoming.
this demolisher
AoE incoming.
there has crushing slam AoE damage. So what I did in the last one was I pulled this demolisher into the next pack, and there was another demolisher there too. So this demolisher did an AoE, his AoE, and then the other demolisher did his AoE, and it just wiped us, and that destroyed the run.
AoE
We would have
incoming.
timed the other run with about a minute left, but that AoE kind of just destroyed us, and we all decided to give up. I felt bad because I looked back on the footage, and yeah, it was the overlapping AoEs that killed us.
AoE incoming.
Here I had to stun them so that they wouldn't kill the elemental chamois. Shaman just ripping everything apart.
Fear incoming.
It's too far away.
So while he fears there, I'm pulling the next pack. I pathed horribly here. I took so much damage because I gave my back to the
AoE
demolisher.
incoming.
There I'm trying to avoid this other demolisher. If we would have gotten AoE fear there, it probably would have dragged me into the other demolisher because I would have tried to move away or something.
AoE incoming.
And I really need to work on not hitting the bananas, that's for sure. The paladin, blessing of freedom to try to get me out of that, I guess.
I don't have a target. It's too far
Pull the next
away.
buccaneer because that villager was dead. I figured we could pull the next demolisher with the next pack. But something that I did stupidly here, and you shouldn't do, is I AoE'd everything and I tried to drag it into the corner away, but guess what? I can't see
AoE
through the
incoming.
trees, as you can see there. So I was blind. I had my dampen harm up. I did have
Fear
my
incoming.
taunt shield up there. I was just trying to live. Luckily there, one of the shaman that manages to wrestle through the earth elemental
AoE incoming.
gave me a bit of breathing room so I can get out of there and have some sight on my character. Just because I don't want to be getting hit from the back and taking unnecessary damage. There, bring a piece to
Flare
bounce everything
incoming.
back. Here's when I kind of realized
AOE incoming.
that we had the shaman with the totem, F tremor totem. So a bit silly of me to be running out the entire time. So yeah, sometimes I don't pay too much attention to what's going on, just trying to focus on not dying. But we did pretty good. We're
AOE
doing pretty good so
incoming.
far.
I need a target.
Execute just to keep running into the next one. Everybody's tapped off. Again, I had to use my passive, my racial there, just to make sure I didn't kill anyone. And if you guys remember the last video, I told you, if you stand in behind the ads, they normally don't attack you because they're kind of programmed to attack in the frontal cone, right? So I don't know how this spotter got knocked over here. I wasn't really paying too much attention. But the DPS is so good that we managed to get everything destroyed pretty fast.
It's too far.
Another thing I like to point out is that as a Brewmaster, it's kind of difficult to get into these mythics because we're doing pretty horribly compared to other tanks. We take a lot of burst damage. We do have a lot of defensives for magic and physical damage, but we take so much damage. And it's impossible to kind of keep us up sometimes. I would imagine 13s are going to be harder. If the jump from 11 to 12 was a bit hard, 12 to 13 is probably a little bit harder. I'll find out as soon as I can get into a 13, if I even get into a 13. I'm trying to complete all of my 12s first. I still have Stone Vault, Necrotic Wake, City of Threads, and that's it. To complete all of my 12s. So, trying to see if I can get into those. Those three also happen to be the ones that I kind of fear the most, just because it's too much damage sometimes. That first Necrotic Wake pull, it's a make or break for the dungeon. If you can't survive that, you're not gonna time it.
It's too far away.
This year was a little bit rough, I'm not going to lie. I was taking a bit of damage more than I was expecting to take. Always dispelling the poison because the poison stacks up and it'll kill you if you don't dispel it. I thought the shaman was gonna drop a poison cleansing totem. I don't know if he didn't have it or if it's on cooldown with something else, but it's whatever. So I've seen one Brewmaster Shaman explain that you can use the Black Ox statue to bait out some of the NPC's attacks. There I baited out one of the invaders' attacks. I was just testing it out just to see if it worked, and it does. But this is more useful in Dawnbreaker when you pull those shadow mobs to do the Umbral Dash, or whatever it's called, which can deal a good amount of damage on you. There, I'm trying to use my instant vivify on the healer because he got really low. This commander's low. I know my healer's good in mana. I pulled the boss. We cleave down the commander. And we're good to go. There, we popped. I think we popped blessed. Yep. And everyone's just shredding into him.
Too far away.
Look at that elemental shaman just
Find shelter.
pumping everything into him. So one of the tolls I did, I accidentally butt pulled the pack behind us. Had to be aware that I didn't do it this time. That again wiped us. There, the mage died. We managed to get a res on him.
Run for it.
I think something I need to work on is my DPS. Every time I look at
Watch your step.
these fights, my DPS is pretty low. I see there's other Shadow Pan monks who are doing 500k, 600k damage, and I'm
Frontal.
sitting at 400k to 520k. So
Find shelter.
either I'm playing the class wrong or I'm really bad at the class, or I need to work on my rotations. There I'm pulling the boss to the edge of the wall just so that if he does a frontal, it doesn't,
Watch your step.
you know, it doesn't compromise the group. It's happened to me once where he does a frontal into the pack just as the wave is about to crash and everybody's panicking to try to get to the wall so that it doesn't hit.
Frontal.
But this fight is pretty straightforward. Nothing much changes from
Watch
an
your
11 to a 12. Just more damage he deals and more health. There I had Expel Harm with 3 orbs, so I didn't have a problem using my
Fine
Vivify
shelter.
on the healer just to make sure he didn't die. Here we got blessed with this wave. I could have died there, to be honest with you, but I dodged that. If I would have died there, we probably wouldn't have timed it.
Watch your step.
I don't think we had any more battle resistance. I do need to get an add-on or a weak cord to track those. But this is pretty much it. Pretty straightforward. DPS was good enough for it, so we cleared this
Watch
boss.
your step.
I wanted to use my fortifying elixir, fortifying brew, into execute, but I decided not to, just because I wanted to
Find
save it for the
shelter.
next boss. Here we managed to execute him there, so we were fine. If you look at my percent is perfect. It's literally at 100%. So that's, I don't want to say it's calculated because it's not. I just decided to find a pool that would avoid that pack that normally kills people if they're kind of not paying attention. So I managed to find another way to get the percent and also not put us all in a risky situation for wipes. There I'm telling everybody to split. So the Elemental Shaman has crazy DPS. So told him to get on the Gripping Tentacle while everybody else stays on the Demolishing one. There I moved away and I used
AoE incoming.
my Diffuse Magic to remove the dot. So here's important to make sure that you keep the other DPS who split alive. I'm keeping an eye on him and also on the health of the Gripping Tentacle, and he's shredding it. Like, the damage is crazy. As you'll see right now, the healer kind of had it a bit rough
Range 5.
because
AoE incoming.
one of us ends up dying here,
Don't let this beast eat me.
and yep, it's the shaman. The elemental shaman dies here. I think he gets the dot, and he also gets hit by the AoE. That's also why
AoE incoming.
the healers have to really pay attention to that. The shaman there died because of that. The healing shaman was on our side, and he wasn't paying attention to the Ellie shaman. That I can tell. So for the healers, they
Range
really have to
5.
pay attention to where
AoE
everyone else is
incoming.
at.
Only
Here
the
I died. I
strong.
wasn't paying attention to myself. I got hit by the
I owe you one.
AoE there.
Just give me a second to get this cannon
Again,
working.
foolish death. I have to learn how to pay attention a bit more, I guess.
Armed and
But we're all
ready
pretty
for
good.
it.
Kind of good that I also got a lot of
Range 5.
the putrid water debuffs on myself. I can tank it, no problem.
AoE incoming.
So there's no real threat of me dying. I can tank it, it's fine. I think I got a good part of those putrid water debuffs on myself. Healer standing on our side, he probably should have stood a little bit closer to the cannon just so that he
AoE
wouldn't
incoming.
let our elemental shaman die. So what I opted to do was just focus on healing, spamming my instant vivifies on any of the DPS that I saw low, while also trying to maintain myself up by using my defensives.
Me.
Keeping an eye on the gripping
Range
tentacle.
5.
There, it's fine if it lands on me again. There, I'm healing the paladin who just got
AoE incoming.
the Data spell. That also partially could be why my DPS is a bit low because I'm focusing on making sure that we all don't die, I guess, sometimes.
AoE incoming.
But you gotta do what you gotta do to survive, I guess. There, I executed the tentacle, waited for the dot to kind of fall off before joining the paladin. Elemental Shaman did 70% damage in the time it took us to do 100% of the damage on the Demolisher. So the split tactic works. I saw it on MDI
Just give me a second to get this
last week,
cannon working. Armed
and obviously those guys are more geared,
Blast
so
and Dragon.
their split DPS was crazy. But I saw it and I figured like, hey, it would be great to try. I tried it on an 11 and it worked.
AoE
So
incoming.
I thought that I should try it here on the 12, and it worked as well. The only setback was that the shaman died in the beginning. I guess our healer wasn't used to the strategy.
AoE
It was
incoming.
relatively new, I guess, for everybody. There, I tossed the heal on the paladin, trying to make sure he doesn't die. This was pretty much a timed run. We were not gonna
AoE
spend
incoming.
3 minutes on this part. It's, if anything, a minute at most. So, unless we wipe, we were gonna time this. When we go into
AoE
the gripping
incoming.
tentacle, you see how much damage the shaman already did. It's crazy. I think he almost soloed it.
AoE incoming.
And I think what I like about these strategies is that we probably implemented it in this run, and maybe if they go
Range 5.
into
AoE incoming.
another Caesar Boralus, they'll probably mention it. And then little by little, like stuff like that spreads. Because I'm pretty sure other people are doing it. I haven't gotten into enough of these 12s to
AoE
see it.
incoming.
But maybe for these people, they didn't know about it, or they heard about it, and they just didn't get the opportunity to try it. There,
Now,
Elemental
Range
Shaman
just give
killed
me
the
a second to get
killed the
this
gripping
cannon
tentacle
working.
before we did. We killed the Demolisher, or as soon as we killed the Demolisher. And that's it. CJ Boralus, 12 Mythic. That's my rating, 28, 23. It was pretty good. My overall DPS 674k. Again, I think it's pretty low. I need to figure out how much some of these top monks are doing. So that's CJ Boralus. Hopefully I get into another plus 12 this week so I can have another video ready. But see you in the next one. Take care.